What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, the moment you have all been waiting for, and that's the Ego prediction Manny Pacman Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley Part 2. This is the Ego prediction. So, I gotta first start off by saying this was an extremely hard fight for me to pick. At different points, I was like, man, I can see Pacquiao really winning. Possibly Bradley stirred something up with him with the killer instinct comment saying he doesn't have it anymore. So he's just going to come out like a wrecking ball, no Miley Cyrus, and just come out ferocious and just overwhelm him. We know Pacquiao is the bigger puncher. Um, he outlanded Bradley in the first fight. In the first fight, I had Pacquiao winning, but I thought it was a lot closer. And I thought both fighters have had better days. I didn't think either fighter really had a stellar performance. Pacquiao, I think, would have clearly won had he fought through the entire round, but he chose to fight in spurts, kind of like Canelo. Um, Canelo has been known to kind of fight in spurts where portions of the round it looks like he's trying to recuperate and take breaks, and then he'll just explode with offense. And Pacquiao, I was watching the clock and just watching the clock. Bradley was out hustling him and just landing shots, whether they were pity pad or you don't think they were affecting him. He was staying busy, and that's boxing. Kind of like Chavez Jr. versus Brian Vera Part 1. Brian Vera, I thought, won that fight. And that was based on out hustling Chavez Jr. Now, Chavez Jr. being the bigger puncher and the bigger guy, it was more apparent when he landed, just like it was more apparent when Pacquiao landed. So this fight, a lot's changed since their first encounter 2 years ago. Very hard for me to pick because it was a 50-50 fight. It is still a 50-50 fight. I'm just really looking forward to it. Um, I'm picking Timothy Bradley via unanimous decision, possibly even a split decision. Here's why. So, Timothy Bradley, I feel, out of both fighters, he has been thrown in several situations where his resilience and his willpower have ultimately been tested. If you look at the fight with Pacquiao, he won. A lot of people thought he shouldn't have won. He dealt with the public backlash and death threats and said he was suicidal, so he had to overcome that with him and his family and all the negative pub that they got. He thought the doors, after beating Pacquiao, after facing him and giving it his all, he thought that the media and everybody would be like pouring in for interviews and things like that, and they weren't. They actually turned their back on him and shunned him from the boxing world, and he said he gained some weight, etc. Then he came out in the Ruslan Provodnikov fight, the very next fight, off his injury, and fought a dumb fight and nearly paid for it. Ruslan was just on top of him. He's a big puncher, and in the first 2 rounds, Bradley was like trying to go toe to toe with Ruslan, which was a bad mistake. And Joel Diaz knew it, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing, Timmy? Like, why are you trying to go toe to toe and brawl with this dude?" But again, Timothy Bradley had to work out whatever bugs and get that out of his system, and he was able to withstand the punishment, the concussion, the slurring of words, and make it out of that fight and outbox Ruslan in the middle rounds where Ruslan may have punched himself out. Then he had to reinvent himself to go in against, because we all knew if he fought how he fought Ruslan against Marquez, that'd be suicide. Marquez is too technical. He'll capitalize on your mistakes and he'll wait for that. So Bradley, to me, had to reinvent himself for the Marquez fight because Marquez has power. I mean, he knocked Pacquiao like clean the fuck out, and he's smarter than Ruslan. Ruslan is just tough as fuck, and he's like the Terminator, and he has that crazy power. Whereas Marquez has power, experience, a good chin, and he's a counterpuncher. So Bradley had to be on his A game, and I thought he had a stellar boxing performance against Marquez. So to me, even though a lot of people say Timothy Bradley has so much to prove, I feel like in a way he almost has less to prove than Pacquiao because he's already endured the losing to Pacquiao feeling, even though he won against Pacquiao. He already fought and nearly got knocked out against Ruslan, then came back against, everyone was saying Marquez was going to knock him out, and he was too banged up from the Ruslan fight, and he would look suspect in the Marquez fight. So I feel like he's already battled his demons, where Pacquiao hasn't had a knockout since 2009, and people are waiting for it. They're waiting for that killer instinct. Does he still have the fire, the desire? Is the Bible studies overtaking his life to the point where he's a different fighter? Is he too compassionate? Does he have that killer instinct? That's what people want to know with Pacquiao. So to me, Pacquiao is the one who has to kind of overextend himself. He has to go out there and fight like a lunatic, whereas Bradley just has to continue fighting smart. If Bradley fights Pacquiao like he fought Ruslan, he's getting knocked out. If he gets overconfident and stays in the exchange too long and wants to go toe to toe to prove something and convincingly win, he's getting knocked out. One thing I don't understand, which is making this prediction scary or risky, is I'm reading and hearing in interviews that Joel Diaz and Bradley are saying that they're looking for the knockout and they're not leaving anything to the judges, so to speak. And we all know Bradley is not the strongest dude at welterweight. So I don't know. I don't recommend anybody looking for a knockout. I feel like the knockout, should it come, it'll present itself, and then you just go for it and finish them off. But I don't recommend anyone look for a knockout. So by them saying that, that's kind of scary, and it makes me lean towards Pacquiao with them saying that they're gonna look. So I don't know if it's mind games. I don't know if they're really gonna try to knock out Pacquiao. But again, Bradley's not the most forceful puncher. So I don't know. If it happens, it happens. I'll be shocked if Bradley knocks Pacquiao out. To be honest, I really just see it going the distance. Um, and again, with Pacquiao, he's a great fighter. I just feel he has that. He has to go out there and fight almost a reckless fight like he's always been known to, but he's just older now. He's 35. He's slowed down naturally. I said in my post weigh-in video that he looks smaller to me. Like in the weigh-in, he's shredded as fuck, in good shape. Don't get that twisted. But he just looks smaller. Like before, he was cut the fuck up, sliced, but he also looked like he had more mass to him. Like he was just bigger. Like he's just like bulkier, but still lean and fucking shredded. So that's one thing. Um, and again, I just think Bradley's the smarter fighter. I think he's going to provide movement. He's going to frustrate Pacquiao. And Pacquiao, this is just something in boxing. A lot of times before the fight, a lot of it's psychological. So Pacquiao is already going into it feeling like he has something to prove because he lost the first fight. Even if you think he won, he lost according to the judges. And he has to prove because Bradley got under his skin and Joel Diaz or whoever else about this whole killer instinct. So I feel like he's already has the potential to be reckless, if you will. And now he really has to be reckless and that's going to leave himself opening. And I think Bradley has good speed too. But in no way, shape, or form am I saying Pacquiao doesn't have a chance. If Pacquiao stopped Bradley, I wouldn't be shocked. If Bradley stopped Pacquiao, I would be shocked. I'm just leaning towards Bradley because I think he's the smarter fighter, and he's kind of crescendoing more in his prime, and he just keeps showing that tenacity, that durability, and that willpower. And a big puncher like Ruslan Provodnikov, who just at his freshest in the first 2 rounds had him out, and he wasn't able to finish him. I don't know if Pacquiao can. And not, Lord, I don't know if he will or if he can or whatever because we haven't seen it in such a long time. 2009 to be exact, when he fought Miguel Cotto, and that was a stoppage. So we know Pacquiao's faster than Ruslan, and I don't know who hits harder out of the two because I've never been punched by them. But just something about Bradley is just I have this feeling that he's gonna pull a rabbit out of a hat and somehow, some way get through this fight and become victorious and convincingly win. And I think again he's just the smarter fighter. He's technical. He has speed, not necessarily Pacquiao speed, but he has good speed. And I think he's going to try to capitalize and really fight a smart fight against Pacquiao. But in no way, shape, or form am I saying Pacquiao has no chance because he definitely does. We know Pacquiao's a monster. We know Pacquiao comes to play. Even in the Marquez 4 fight, Pacquiao looked really good. He looked exceptional in that fight, even with the knockdown. And that knockdown actually motivated Pacquiao, and he started hitting his gloves, and that's when it really got bad for Marquez. Before that, that perfectly timed right that Marquez hit Pacquiao with. So I'm just looking for a gutsy, gritty fight. It's a definitely a high stakes fight. This is going to move either one, whoever wins, up the pound for pound list. At least in my book, is going to move them up there. And if Mayweather gets past Maidana, then the winner of this fight needs to fight fucking Floyd. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, you're pushing to the head of the class by winning these types of fights. So the best of the best need to fight. Mayweather needs to fight the winner of this fight. I just hope it's no controversy, no bullshit. It's clear cut. And I think the reason I'm leaning towards unanimous decision or split decision is there's a lot of heat on the first decision. So I don't feel like the judges are going to get this one wrong. So they may even be second guessing themselves and like over analyzing the fight and really looking at CompuBox and really looking at what's in front of them to make sure they get it right based on the amount of bad publicity and the controversy in the first decision. Other than that, it's a good fight. Like I said, Pacquiao definitely can pull off the win. I think Bradley is going to pull off the upset just based on technique and finesse, whereas Pacquiao is just going to be Pacquiao. And I feel beating Brandon Rios up in the way he did, that was a good win. I thought Brandon Rios could stop him just because Brandon Rios is big and he's a big puncher. He's relentless. He could take a punch. And Pacquiao was at a bad place in his life. He had just come off of the Marquez knockout. Pacquiao dominated that fight. So all the props in the world to Pacquiao for that performance. However, it's really night and day versus Bradley because their styles are nothing alike. You know what I mean? Like certain people, like when Canelo fought Mayweather, looks nothing like when Canelo fought Angulo. Just completely different styles. So their strategies were different. Their opponent's strengths and weaknesses were different. What Angulo's vulnerable with, Mayweather might not be. Mayweather's great on his feet. Angulo's kind of stationary, etc., etc. So I still have to see it. Like everyone in recent memory that Pacquiao's fought, well, really Marquez in the third and fourth fight, that thought and outthought him, or they would outthink him. I'm tripping, it's late. The people who would outthink Pacquiao had the best success. If you come straight at Pacquiao, you'll get destroyed. It is what it is. He's a monster. He's a beast. So if you come straight at him in a straight line, then he'll tear you out the frame. But if you frustrate him, make him fight a dumb fight, cause him to miss, etc., that's when your openings come. Your best bet is to just really try to outbox him. Don't let him fight at a comfortable range. So Bradley needs to get in close, kind of like mug him. What who recently was doing this? Oh, Mauricio Herrera. Kind of like Mauricio Herrera was doing. I see it kind of being like that if Bradley comes out not stupid, if he doesn't come out like gung-ho, like, oh, gotta prove to the people. Because like I said, if he does that, he's getting knocked out. But if he fights a fight like Mauricio Herrera, utilize the jab, get in close, smother your opponent's work, don't let him get off with those serious power shots. I think ultimately Pacquiao's biggest chance to win this fight is early. If he doesn't do something significant in the first 4 or 5 rounds, like a knockdown or have Bradley wobbling or knocked out or whatever, it's going to be increasingly harder because that's where Bradley, I feel his confidence will grow. Both guys show they could be in shape. Pacquiao just has to work. He has to work for full 3-minute rounds. And I just see Bradley putting in some type of work and just pulling the rabbit out of the hat, like I said. Could be wrong, but that's the great thing about boxing in this matchup is it is that close of a fight where I'm telling you all this and I could be totally wrong. You can get knocked down the first round. It's that crucial. So I don't remember the last fight that was this hard for me to pick. Probably, I would say like Lucas Matisse, Lamont Peterson, or Lucas Matisse and Danny Garcia. Those were really hard for me to pick. Probably more so the Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse fight. And that just means the best of the best in those divisions are fighting. So let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video's Ego signing off.